Welcome to Only One You Need Radio. We're not the only one you need. You are. We just show you how to get out of your own way. With your host, speaker, author, business coach, and consultant, David Dubé.
Welcome to Only One You Need Radio. It's your host, David Dubé. So excited to have you here with me today. In this episode, my friend, we are going to be talking about the three versions of time. Now, we all perceive time differently, which also means we live in time differently. You and I, during any given day, during any moment within a day, may be perceiving time differently based on our circumstances or a situation in which we find ourselves in. Now, time itself is a construct, meaning it's made up. There's no real thing as time, but time in especially our society in which we live in Western culture specifically, we are linear-based individuals and a linear-based society. So all things are scheduled out and it's finite. Time is finite, right? There's only a certain amount of time in which you have in your life and time runs out. Yet we don't know when that run out time is, right? So, but it's a construct in the way that there is really no such thing as time. And because of this, there's only what's called moments. But perception says there's time. And elaborating on this idea that perception says there's time is this. An event happened right now that you are a part of, and one day or 1 week from now, you remember that it happened. And because you remember that it happened, there's a linearity. Oh, it was 1 day ago. Now, if it was, if time isn't the way it is, it was, one sunset ago or what have you, right? We created these things called weeks. We created these things called years and centuries. All this stuff is man-made ideas. And it makes sense for the way, like if you follow and track the sun in a pattern, it makes this like figure 8. And there's the short side of the 8, the smaller side is the days of, of time are shorter. And as the days get longer, it cycles back and creates a bigger loop. And the solstices happen on the opposites of this 8, on the top and the bottom of it. And it's very interesting to see or perceive this, but based on the perception of that, we can create and calendar out our lives, which is cool. It works that way. It functions that way. And it gives, for some people, it can give more meaning. For some people, less. And some people just don't even think about it, which is crazy that this is the way our lives are. Most people don't understand this stuff whatsoever. We don't even think about this stuff as it just occurs. And so when you stop to think about time can have much greater meaning to you based on this stuff. And so talking about the three versions of time that you and I live in can help bring more meaning to how you live and why you're feeling a certain way. And you can remove yourself from that. This is the importance of what we're talking about when I talk about three versions of time. Now, I don't know really anyone else who talks about this at all. I don't recall ever being educated on this that I'm going to be sharing with you. What I'm saying here is that I figured this stuff out. Now, I'm not saying there's not another one out there that's similar to this at all. But what I have found is based on my perceptions of time in general and how people live, this is what I've come to the conclusion of, that there's three versions of time. And no matter who you are, where you are, we are part of time in one of these three aspects. Okay. So let me share what those three aspects are, and then we can go a little deeper on each of them. So the first aspect of time is that of out of time. Most people in Western society are either option 1 or option 2. Very few are the third version. So option 1 is going to be out of time. These are the individuals who are constantly battling the idea of getting stuff done. They never have enough time in the day to finish their task list. There's just so much going on that they're in overwhelm, perpetual overwhelm, essentially, because they're always out of time. So nothing accumulatively gets done, and very little of it's effective because they're always fighting the aspect of time. They're just out of time. They live out of time. These are the people who will write lists of things that they have to get done, and at the end of the day, there's still more stuff to get done than there was time in the day. So they're constantly battling time. So they're out of time. There's just not enough time. You should take a vacation. There's just not enough time to take a vacation. You know these people. You might be one of these people. There's just never enough time. Now, number 2 in the 3 versions of time is because of time. These are the people who are circumstantial in everything. They're a part of the circumstance. So why are they working 3 jobs? Well, because they have so much debt and they're doing it out of their circumstance as opposed to being resourceful and figuring out another solution for it. They do things because of circumstance. It's never their fault. It's the fault of something else or someone else that put them where they are. And so they're circumstantial. So they're because of time. Why are you doing this? Because, and they always have an excuse for it. These are the excuse livers in our life. And mind you, 1 or 2 is where a vast majority of our society lies. We lie either in out of time or because of time. Rarely are we ever number 3, which is in time. When you're in time, time moves for you. You are in the moment. You're not in the future and you're not in the past. See, when you're out of time, you're often overwhelmed by what has yet to happen. And so you're caught up in things that have not happened yet. So your head is playing these tricks with you of what the future circumstances hold for you. And therefore, there's just not enough time to get all the things done before X, Y, or Z of future event takes place, right? Circumstantial is you're based upon the past, right? So if you're because of time, it's something that happened in the past that's placed you into the situation that you're in now. But if you're in time, if you're in the moment, you own your authority of who you are, of what you are, of why you are, and time flows for you and because of you. And if you're in the moment, you have the capacity and the wherewithal to think things through and to feel things through. You're not caught up in all the minutia of circumstance and of things that are on your to-do list. Like myself, I have a lot to do. I have a lot going on. But because of how I plan things out, and I don't there's so much that I should do. We all have shoulds, right? There's the idea of shoulds. But when you recategorize what is a should and what is a must, and you do the musts first, the shoulds typically happen. That's what I found. And therefore, I can live in time much more often than I'm in overwhelm or circumstantial based, right? That I'm out of time or because of time. And because of that, I can dominate my life and I can own my life because I'm not taken over by those other things, by the minutia of life and perceptions that people push forth onto us. So it's crazy how this works, how our lives work based upon all this information. So now that you know this, you have the ability to decide how you want to live. And there's so much authority in that. Become a person who lives in time and not because of time or not out of time. And when you do that, you take control of your life. Time can move for you and be because of you, as opposed to you because of it. If it's a pressure onto you, then there's something else going on. You're not in control then. Someone else is in control. There's so much to this that to me is intriguing and powerful. And when you know that, when you realize that and you can understand it, you can start to change how you exist in time. This to me is so powerful. And that's why I wanted to share it with you. To me, I feel like so few people know this stuff. Not only know it, but once you know it, it's about realization and understanding. So once you realize that you've been living because of time, so you're circumstantial, or that you're living out of time because you're in overwhelm, there's just too much to do and not enough time to do it, you know that you're essentially squeezing yourself off from being who you are meant to be. And when you're being who you're meant to be, the interesting thing is overwhelm tends to go away because you take authority over all things in your life. Right? So you're no longer circumstantial, and you're no longer in overwhelm because you have authority and you know where your power lies. And when you know where your power lies, you're going to do the things that you know have the greatest impact, and you're going to do those things first. And when you do those things first, the shoulds become musts. And when the musts happen, the shoulds should get done. Like you can let go of holding on to everything because those things will happen for you. And to me, this is where the power is. The power is in time. Because it's really, we only exist in time. We exist in no other form or function than in time. And to me, that's everything. That is absolutely everything. So there's this illustration that puts this into a really good perspective. And I'll post this on my social media so you can see it. And the illustration first says, do you have a problem in life? And then there's two arrows leading off of it. The first arrow is to yes. Now, if there's an arrow to yes, it says, can you do something about it, is the next portion. So that arrow from yes leads, can you do something about it? So then there's an arrow that leads to no. And then no leads to, then why worry? Now we start back at, do you have a problem in life? And says no, then there's an arrow to, then why worry? Now if you go back to the yes portion of it, do you have a problem in life? Yes. Can you do something about it? Then the arrow goes to yes and says, then why worry? So the idea is this, you have control either way. So if you don't have a problem, then there's nothing to worry about. If you do have a problem, the question is, if you can do something about it, then do something about it. Then you have nothing to worry about. If you can't do anything about it, then why continue to worry about something you can't do something about? And by following this, you can move yourself out of these circumstances we're talking about, right? Then you don't have to be at least circumstantial, number two, because of time, and even out of time. This will help remove some of the stresses that come with those feelings, because really this is leading you back to being in time. And when you can live in time, then you're the fluidity that makes life happen. But when you're because of time, then time is the authority over you. And when you're out of time, once again, time has authority over you because there's just not enough of it for you. What would you rather have? 1, out of time, 2, because of time, or 3, in time? I'm going to say you want 3. You want to be in time. So do yourself a favor and start living life on your terms. Be in time. Now you know what you can do about it. With that being said, do yourself a favor, subscribe, follow, get notified. So if you're on iTunes, make sure you subscribe, download the new episodes as they come out, leave feedback. Would love to hear from you. If you're on YouTube, subscribe, get notified, hit that bell icon so you can get notified every time a new episode is released. Dave Dubé here with Only When You Need Radio. It's time that you be the person you're meant to be, believe in all that you're capable of, and become more than you thought imaginable. Look forward to catching you on the next episode. Take care.